What if I told you that 90% of people will spend their entire lives stuck at the first level of investing? Not because they're unlucky, not because they're poor, but because they never even realise. There are levels to this game, and by the time they do, it's already too late. We've all been sold the same formula: make money, save money, invest money, wait long enough, and you'll be rich. Sounds smart, sounds responsible, but here's the problem. If that actually worked, millionaires wouldn't be rare, they'd be normal. The truth? Money doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards evolution, because every level of money requires a different mindset, a different set of habits, a different way of thinking. And most people, they never upgrade. They keep using beginner thinking in a game that demands strategy, so they stay stuck. Not because they can't win, but because they never become the person who knows how. Level 1, the survivor. This isn't the level people post about. There's no motivation here. No rise and grind. No investing screenshots. This is real life. This is waking up, already tired, checking your bank account before you even get out of bed, doing quick math in your head. Okay, if I pay this bill now, can I survive till next week? Bills stack up, debt doesn't wait, and stress, it becomes background noise, constant, quiet, heavy. At this level, money isn't a tool, it's survival. It's rent getting paid on time, it's food in the fridge, it's fuel in your car so you can show up again tomorrow. And when money feels like oxygen, every decision changes. You don't think about growth, you think about relief. You don't ask, how can I invest this? You ask, how do I make this last? Because one wrong move, one unexpected expense, and everything falls apart. So you play it safe, you hold on tight, you protect what little you have. And from the outside, it might look like you're not trying, like you're not thinking ahead, but that's not true. You're just trying to stay above water, in a system that keeps pulling you down. And here's the part nobody talks about. This level is exhausting, not just physically, but mentally. Because it's not just about money. It's the constant pressure, the quiet anxiety, the feeling that no matter how hard you work, you're not getting ahead. And over time, that feeling becomes normal. You stop expecting progress. You stop believing there's another level, because survival becomes your entire world. And that's why most people stay here. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack ambition, but because when you're fighting just to breathe, you don't have the space to think about building something bigger. You're not stuck because you can't move forward. You're stuck because no one ever showed you there's a way out. Level 2, the saver. This is where life finally starts to feel manageable. Not perfect, not easy, but stable. You're no longer panicking every time your phone buzzes with a payment notification. You've got a little money sitting in your account, maybe even an emergency fund. And for the first time in a long time, you can breathe. There's space. Space to think. Space to relax. Space to feel like you're finally doing something right. And honestly, that feeling is powerful. Because after surviving for so long, safety feels like success. You tell yourself, I'm being responsible. I'm doing what everyone says to do. Save money, avoid risk, play it smart, and on the surface, that sounds right. But here's where the trap begins, because saving feels like progress. But it's actually pause. Your money is just sitting there, quiet, still, not growing, not working, just waiting. And while it waits, something else is happening, something you don't see, something you don't feel day to day. Inflation, prices slowly rising, your purchasing power slowly shrinking, not overnight, not in a way that shocks you, but in a way that slowly, quietly, takes more than it gives. The money in your account, it looks the same, but what it can do gets weaker every year. And that's the dangerous part, because nothing feels wrong. There's no pain, no urgency, no pressure forcing you to change. Everything feels fine. So you stay, you keep saving, you keep stacking, believing you're moving forward, when in reality, you've just stopped falling behind. And most people never question it, because society rewards this level. People will call you disciplined, smart, responsible. But no one tells you the full truth. Safety, by itself, doesn't build wealth. It just protects you from losing everything. And protection is important. But it's not the same as growth. So years go by. Your savings grow slowly, your confidence grows quietly, but your money? It never truly starts working. And one day, you look up and realize you've been playing defense your entire life, never taking the step that actually moves you forward. And that's why so many people stay here forever. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because they think they're already doing everything right. And that belief, that quiet comfort, is what keeps them stuck. Level 3, the investor. This is where everything looks like it's finally happening. You've crossed the line most people never do. You open the account, you bought your first stock, maybe an index fund, maybe even some crypto. For the first time, your money isn't just sitting there, it's moving, up one day, down the next. And that feeling, it's exciting, because now you're in the game. You start checking apps more often, watching numbers change, refreshing charts, paying attention to news you never cared about before. It feels like progress, like you've stepped into a smarter version of life. But here's the truth, most people don't see at this level. You're still not in control. Not really, because even though you're investing, you're still reacting. You see a stock going up. Everyone's talking about it. It's all over social media. And suddenly it feels obvious. This is the one. So you buy. Not because you planned it, not because you studied it, but because it feels right in that moment. And for a while, it works. The price keeps climbing. Your account goes green, and you feel like you've figured it out, like maybe. This is easier than people make it seem. But then the market shifts. The same stock starts dropping, slow at first, then faster. Now the same voices that were hyping it up are silent, or worse. They're panicking, and without even realizing it, you start feeling it too. That tight feeling in your chest, that voice in your head saying, what if it keeps falling? What if I lose everything? So you sell, not because it was part of your strategy, but because fear took over. And just like that, you locked in the loss. And here's the cycle most people get trapped in. They buy when it feels safe. They sell when it feels scary, which is exactly backwards. But in the moment, it doesn't feel wrong. It feels human, because this level isn't just about money anymore. It's about emotion, greed when things are rising, fear when things are falling. And those emotions, they don't care about logic. They don't care about long-term thinking. They just want relief. So you keep moving in and out, up and down, always active, but never truly advancing. And over time, you start to notice something. You're putting in effort. You're paying attention. You're trying. But your results, they're inconsistent, unpredictable. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But overall, you're not building real momentum because you're still following headlines, following hype, following the crowd. And the crowd is almost always late. They buy after the opportunity, they panic after the drop, and if you're moving with them, you're always reacting to something that already happened, not positioning for what's coming next. That's the invisible ceiling of level 3. It feels like progress, but it's still unstable, because activity is not the same as strategy, and movement is not the same as control. This is where a lot of people get stuck, because they think, I'm investing now, I've made it. But the reality, this is just the beginning, because until you learn to think independently, to manage risk, to stay calm when everyone else is emotional, you're not really playing the game, you're just responding to it. And the market, it punishes reaction, but it rewards patience, clarity, discipline, and that shift, that moment where you stop following and start thinking for yourself, that's what takes you to the next level. Level 4, the strategist. This is where everything changes. Not on the outside, but on the inside. Because the biggest shift at this level isn't money, it's how you think about money. Up until now, you've been reacting to prices, reacting to news, reacting to what everyone else is doing. But here, that stops. You slow down, you step back, and for the first time, you start seeing the bigger picture. you realise something most people never do. The market isn't random. It moves in patterns, cycles, expansion, contraction, fear, greed, over and over again. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You stop chasing what's already moving and start paying attention to what's about to move. You notice when things feel too easy, when everyone is confident, when everyone is winning, because now you understand. That's usually the end of a cycle, not the beginning. And when things feel uncertain, when people are scared, pulling out, doubting everything, you don't panic, you pay attention, because you know. That's where opportunities are born. This is the level where patience becomes power, where doing nothing is often the smartest move. And that's uncomfortable at first, because the world around you is still loud, still chasing, still reacting. But you're not. You're observing, you're waiting, you're positioning. And slowly, you start to feel a different kind of control, not control over the market, but control over yourself. Your emotions don't spike with every move. You don't feel the urge to jump in just because something is trending. You don't feel the need to escape just because something dips. You operate from clarity, from intention, from a plan. And that plan, it's built on understanding. You understand risk, not as something to avoid, but something to manage. You know every decision has a trade-off. Every opportunity has a downside. And instead of ignoring that, you account for it. You position accordingly. You diversify when it makes sense. You concentrate when the opportunity is clear. You're not guessing anymore. You're calculating, and that changes everything. Because now, your wins aren't accidents, and your losses, they're controlled, expected, part of the process. That's what separates this level from the rest. At level 3, you hope to be right. At level 4, you're prepared to be wrong. And that preparation is what keeps you in the game. Long enough to actually win, because real wealth isn't built in one big move. It's built in consistency, in discipline, in making good decisions, over and over again, even when it's boring, even when it feels slow, even when nobody else understands what you're doing. And here's the most powerful part. You stop needing validation. You don't care if people agree with your decisions. You don't care if something is popular. Because you're not playing for attention. You're playing for outcomes, long-term outcomes, the kind that compound quietly, while everyone else is distracted. At this level, money becomes different. It's no longer emotional. It's no longer stressful. It becomes a tool, a lever, something you use. With precision, with patience, with purpose. And that's the shift. Money stops controlling your decisions and starts following them. But getting here, it's not easy. Because this level requires something most people avoid. Responsibility. No blaming the market, no blaming the news, no blaming bad luck. Every move is yours. Every result is yours. And that level of ownership, it's heavy, but it's also freedom. Because once you reach this point, you're no longer reacting to the game, you're playing it. And for the first time, you're playing it on your terms. Level 5, the builder. This is where everything changes, not just your income, but your entire relationship with money. Because up until now, you've been participating in the system, working in it, investing in it, trying to win inside it. But here, you start creating your own. You stop asking, what should I invest in? And start asking, what can I build? That question alone changes your future, because investing grows money, but building creates it. At this level, you're no longer relying on opportunities. You're designing them. You're not waiting for the right stock. You're creating something that becomes the asset, a business, a platform, a system, something that produces value over and over again, even when you're not there. And that's the real shift. Money is no longer tied to your time. You don't wake up thinking, how many hours do I need to work today? You think, how can I make this system work without me? Because time is limited. But systems, they scale. You put in effort once, and it keeps producing again and again and again. That's where real leverage comes from, not working harder, but building smarter. And here's the part most people misunderstand. This level isn't easier, it's just different, because now you're responsible for more than just yourself. You're making decisions that affect outcomes at scale. You're thinking about structure, about process, about efficiency. You're solving problems that don't go away overnight. But that's also where the power is, because every problem you solve becomes an asset. Every system you build becomes a source of income. Every piece you create starts working for you. And over time, those pieces stack quietly in the background until one day you realize something has changed. You're no longer chasing money. Money is coming to you from multiple directions, not because you got lucky, but because you built something that produces. And that's the difference between income and wealth. Income stops when you stop. Wealth continues. That's why this level is where millionaires are made. Not from one big win, not from perfect timing, but from ownership. Ownership of assets, ownership of systems, ownership of value creation. And ownership changes everything. Because when you own something that generates money, you control the source. You're not depending on a paycheck. You're not dependent on market swings alone. You've created something that has its own engine, and the more you refine that engine, the more powerful it becomes. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Getting to this level requires letting go of comfort, letting go of certainty, letting go of the idea that effort always equals reward. Because in the beginning, building feels slow, uncertain, even frustrating. You put in work, and nothing happens right away. No instant results, no quick wins, just effort, with delayed outcomes. And most people quit right there. They go back to what feels familiar, back to earning, back to saving, back to reacting, because building requires patience. On a level most people aren't used to, but if you stay with it, if you keep refining, keep improving, keep showing up, something starts to happen. Momentum. Your systems get better, your decisions get sharper, your results get more consistent. And slowly, what once felt uncertain starts to feel inevitable. That's when you know you've crossed the line. From participating to creating, from earning to owning, from chasing money to building something that makes money chase you. And that's the highest level. Because at this point, you're not just playing the game, you're building the game others are playing. So why do most people never become millionaires? It's not their income, it's not bad luck, it's who they choose to stay. Because every new level of money demands a new version of you, new habits, new thinking, new discipline. But most people, they want different results without becoming different. So they repeat the same patterns, make the same decisions, live the same financial life, just on a different scale and in a system that rewards growth. Staying the same isn't safe. It's silent failure. Because if you don't evolve, you don't just stay where you are, you fall behind. So ask yourself, what level are you really on right now? Not the version you tell people, not the version you want to believe, but the one your daily actions prove. Because the truth shows up in patterns, how you spend, how you think, how you react when things go wrong. That's your level. And once you see it clearly, something shifts. You don't get comfort anymore. You don't get to hide behind excuses. You get a decision. Stay where you are. Keep repeating the same cycle. Keep telling yourself, one day things will change. Or make the move. Learn what you've been avoiding. Change what you've been repeating. Step into the version of you that actually belongs at the next level, because no one is coming to upgrade your life for you. No perfect moment, no sudden breakthrough. Just a choice, right now, to stay the same or to level up.